If you love diving into interactive Otome games with rich world building, stunning characters, and wholesome connections, then you're in the right place. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Otome.com podcast. I'm SweetPixel, your trusted companion in the world of visual novels.
And I'm Mochi Melody. Today we'll be exploring Somnium 11 with the help of the developers behind the game, Natalie and Alexandra. Welcome to the podcast. We're so excited to have you here.
Hi, Natalie. Hi, Alex. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now, I am eager to uncover the secrets of the game, but before that, could you please tell us what your role in creating this game was?
Yeah, so I can get started. So I'm Natalie. I am the director at Nochi Studios. And so for most of our games, I oversee the production of it, set some of the visions, the strategies for it. And so that was the case with Somnium 11 as well. And I coordinate with everyone to make sure that the game happens, releases on time, and we have a specific vision that gets accomplished with the development and publishing of the game.
And I am the scenario writer, and I work with all of the different scenarios and the narrative design of the game. I will work with the characters, designing and fleshing out each of their backstories and overall just arcs that you get to see throughout the routes and the different scripts throughout the game.
Okay. When I first saw the name Somnium 11, the word Somnium was quite interesting to me. I did want to Google it because I wanted to hear it from you personally. Could you please shed a light on what exactly the name means and how you decided to have this name for the game?
Yeah, for sure. I don't think you would find anything on Google about it actually, because we haven't publicly shared the information of why it's called Somnium 11. We might have shared it with some of our players in our Discord server, like on a ask me anything kind of thing, but we've never published anything about it. So I guess this is sort of special for this podcast. Somnium is a little bit of a spoiler, so I don't really quite want to give that away because that would give some of the story surprises away. But the 11 part was actually because it was the 11th brainstorm idea that we had for this title. So this title was our second studio title after coming off of Sifting Time, finishing publishing that. And so we were just brainstorming ideas, and it was number 11 on the whiteboard when we were working through concepts. But then eventually it ended up having meaning because of the cast number as well. So this is one of our titles that has quite a big cast. So sort of a tongue-in-cheek with the 11th brainstormed whiteboard idea, but then also there's some meaning to it in the final results of the game.
Okay, Mochi, we got it wrong. I thought, and Mochi also, that it's the number of players that are in the contests, but apparently it's not that. I thought there's hidden characters that are going to pop up later or something like that, because there's 7 in total, I think, right? I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you're super close though. I mean, the 7 definitely counts into 11. But yeah, we have a few side characters and other important characters that you discover along the way. So you're close. They're just not quite all contestants.
Okay, I see. Okay, so we got it somewhat correctly. Okay, that's good. We both of us, me and Mochi, played the game, and I was drawn into the trials, the characters, and the mystery of Aria's fate. So, for our listeners and viewers who might not have played the game, could you please tell us an overview of the story?
Yeah, Alexandra, I'll pass this off to you since you are our writer for the game.
Yeah, so Aria awakens to find herself in what seems to be a competition, and a set of trials has been set to determine the next ruler of Strata, because kings like Prince Soren is stepping down for mysterious circumstances, and so they're doing these trials all over again. So not only does she have to figure out, how to make it through these trials, but along the way, she's sort of having to navigate through Strata and getting to know all the different other soul victim, which are the competitors and the other people across town, to survive and make it through and find some romance along the way, but also to determine her real fate and her purpose in Strata and beyond.
About Strata, could you tell us a bit more? Is it like a fantasy kingdom sort of place, or is it a country? Because I was just a bit curious about it.
Strata is a region, so it is like a kingdom with region adjacent. We were actually inspired by a lot of like magical technology meets Roman era empires, and so we wanted to create something that was unique to our world, but then also something that would be kind of fun to flesh out a little bit more of the technology, the way the trials work, and the way also they select their future rulers, which they use the trials for.
And you touched on Strata and how it was developed, but tell us, did you start with the characters first when creating the game, or did the world come first?
So our development process, typically, it all goes hand in hand. So we, in this particular case, and also with the cases of our other games, we typically sit down and we craft out the story that we want to tell overall. And with that story, we have certain vibes, certain keywords that we're going after. And because of that, we need to make sure that both the environment that they're in, the world building, and the character is all scoped into that total creative vision. So it's sort of hard to say like which came first, because we were doing them both simultaneously at the same time, because they do sort of influence each other, just to make sure that we're going for the creative vision for this, which, as Alexandra mentioned, is like we wanted people who were strong characters that are living in this like Roman Empire-esque environment with Magitech. And so we're designing both the characters to have that vibe, like what type of characters would live in that vibe, but also for Strata, like how should we mold Strata so we can tell a compelling story with the characters involved.
Cool. And I saw on your Kickstarter that you were inspired by Hunger Games. Can you speak more about that? What actually inspired you? Was it the trial aspect or the survival aspect or something else?
Yeah, so Hunger Games was something that we played. Alexandra brought it to the team, and we would play this as a break in between like sessions. And so we,
Hunger Games simulator.
Yeah, so it was super fun, and we were inspired by that. And like most of us on the team also like Hunger Games, the franchise, right? So that inspired the idea of having trials. But trials is also super helpful to make points in the game so we can build up the suspension and to gamify it as well. So there's a practical aspect in terms of the game design, but from a narrative aspect, it also adds to the pressure to continue with the story, right? And then also fits into the vibes that we were going for, where, this Hunger Games of people like that story of pursuing through something and potentially winning, in this case, winning romance and winning in the terms of the politics, the environment, with the scenario that Alexandra described with Strata Empire and Prince Soren stepping down.
Awesome.
It's very similar to like with the Roman Empire having gladiators and matches and trials as well.
I wanted to ask, are the trials a sort of life or death situation? I mean, you mentioned what the winning part is, but what is the losing part? If you lose, do you actually die?
Yeah, so it's implied. Well, actually, it's up to the character how they interpret the scene, but the game ends. So from a game design aspect, the game does stop, and you have to restart from the beginning. So in the past, we've also marketed this as a roguelike game, because the more you play it, so the more you learn about what's happening behind the scenes. You learn about the characters, all the different storylines that are happening at the same time, because we have a pretty big cast here. So this is definitely a niche, I would say. The Otome games is there's a lot of variety of different types of Otome games, right? You have your very straightforward visual novel aspect, where you just choose branching storylines. In this case, there is a gamification to it where we have stats involved. And with the stats, if you don't have enough, you might fail the trials. So if you might be a more casual Otome player, and you're still interested, great. We'd love to have you check it out, but be ready for some frustrating moments perhaps where you might not succeed in a trial. If you're the type of Otome player who loves stat raising games, this might be up your alley because there's quite a bit that you will need to figure out to optimize to survive in the trials.
You mentioned winning and losing. The game actually has over 10 different endings. So obviously you guys reward different approaches to the story. How do you balance that level of player agency with telling a cohesive narrative?
Well, like Natalie said, with the roguelike structure, you're still able to get to know different parts of the story and build and craft the story as you go. And no matter which endings you get, and how it was also designed was that it would all just kind of fit together. So no matter how many times you were playing it, even the endings that you do reach beforehand, you'll still be able to add that to the overarching narrative that's going on. But I think that's the most I can honestly say before I get into a little bit more of the storyline spoilers. But there is a purpose to everything.
Yeah, for sure. But there's definitely a lot of exploring to do. However, that is quite limited right now due to a very unique feature, in my opinion, that I haven't seen in very many games. That's the real-time management system. And you've touched a bit on that. But for the PC version, actually, and correct me if I'm wrong, that feature won't be making a comeback. Can you tell us why? Was it player feedback or something else?
So I'm not sure if we're using the term real-time management the same way because it's actually not tied to real-time. It's more turn-based. So there's days in the game. There's about 30 in-game days, and you get to choose what you want to do with the in-game days. But you can play this game at any time. So if you want to run all 30 days in one sitting, go for it. If you want to run just like the first day, and you know what, it's not your vibe, after 1 week, you want to play the second day, go for it. So there's saving in the game, and it's not like Mystic Messenger, which is a real-time system, or it's not like Animal Crossing, which is a real-time system based off of real days. So in that aspect, we are keeping that the same in the PC version. So you can save the game at any point. If you want to play, today, day 1, day 2, take a break, play day 3, at whatever time you want, that is still the same between the mobile and PC version.
I see, but you won't be limited by those 15 days before the first trial and then 15 more? Or
So you have 15 days 15 in-game days. So up to you again, when you want to play those 15 days. If you want to play 7 of the days today, you want to take a break, play the remaining days up to day 15. Totally up to you when you want to play those days. But it's a turn-based system, so you choose your moves for each of the days. If people are familiar with games like Tokimeki or Persona, those are all sort of turn-based, where you make a decision, you choose what you want to do for the day. After you experience what the day is based off of your decision, the game changes to day 2. Then you choose what you want to do for day 2, it moves to day 3. So in this case, similar, well, in Persona it's a little bit different because you can choose when to go to the dungeons, but similar to Tokimeki, for an example. Tokimeki had a calendar system where Valentine's Day is always going to happen on February 14th, right? So you choose however you want to spend your school days up to February 14th. That is how this game works. So you choose however you want to spend your 15 days before the trial happens.
Thank you. That was very clear. Differentiate. Very helpfully describes what the actual system is. So thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I have to share my experience with my first run. So I chose dilly-dallying the first time around and talking to characters and trying to get to romance all of them. So of course I failed my first time in the trials, but second time round I was like, okay. This time I'm taking it more seriously. I upgraded all of my stats to rank 1 and I managed to pass the trials. but it was a nice experience to get to, each run felt different. It wasn't repetitive, it wasn't the same, and that's exactly what I liked about it. No matter what type of combination I try to make, it felt like a different outcome came every single time, and that was truly really fun for me.
We're so glad to hear that. That's the goal,
Good
is
to
that,
hear.
there's so many different types of players. There's players who are like, you know what, I want to just do this right from the get-go, and I'm going to look up a guide online, right? And then they just breeze on through. They get all the main storylines. Then there's people who like to explore, or people who like to, do the first run as they really would if it was them in the game, right? And, meet all the characters before having a strategy. So that was our goal, is that you have a different experience depending on the strategy that you want to go with. And the way that Alexandra brilliantly has written all the scenes, they play on top of each other asynchronously, but you get a unique story with each playthrough.
Yeah, I think I wanted to meet as many characters as possible at one time. I'm not gonna lie, I cheated a little bit and I took a sneak peek at the timetable so I can talk to Minty, and I think you as well. I wanted to talk to her, so I admit it. I cheated. I'm sorry.
Hey, I do that too in video games. Like, even for Stardew, I'll look up guides online because I want to maximize my farm, right? It's a valid gameplay decision.
Sweet Pixel, were you even popular enough to do that?
Of
No shade.
course I was. I grinded a lot. I totally didn't buy all of my followers in the shop.
No.
Hey, again, realistic of real life, right? We all know
Yeah.
influencers who have bought, bots potentially, and because you wonder how do they shoot up in the rankings on the algorithm. So we try to fold in little aspects of realistic things that people would recognize in the real world.
Yeah, that I was pretty surprised I can buy that. I was like, okay, interesting. Of course, I bought it because I wanted to talk to all the other characters.
Whatever you need to do to win, right?
For the romanceable characters, I liked all of them, even though I think I didn't manage to meet one, unfortunately. All of the characters in the game felt really layered and real. Were they inspired by any real people or people that you know in real life?
Well, I think in kind of the way they were, how we sort of conceptualize them, they are really designed to relate to all kinds of people. I think the way I approached them too was focusing on what their dreams were and what their goals were and motivations were in the story. Also how they relate to Aria and sort of vibe off of her. And giving the characters room to explore how they express that with the different scenarios that we've picked out for them. I think that there was a lot of instances like you can choose how you want to approach the relationship aspect, but there's different, you can tell with each character, like they have a different way of taking your compliments and taking your, just your insults or just being sassy with you. And that's really what makes each interaction we wanted to make sure was very unique. In terms of them being inspired by real life relationships, I think it's not really my approach to it. I think it's much more of being observant of just general friendship behaviors and relationship behaviors, and sort of like, once again, seeing how they all layer into the different aspects of their personality and their motivations. I think personally for me, I know some writers might feel differently, but I think for me, I would not feel like friends or other people would necessarily be comfortable. And it's also doesn't give a lot of room for creativity personally for me to just take someone I know exactly. I think it's being able to just continue to observe and know what also relates to people, and once again focus on those motivations, because I think that's where we tend to relate to people more, and we're surprised by how we relate to each other, even when we think we're so different.
Yeah. I totally understand. Well, in that case, when you were writing intimate moments, whether emotional or physical, what was your approach to capturing these moments of authenticity between Aria and the others?
Uh, so I'll be honest, in terms of writing any kind of intimate moments, they're probably, at least for me, this is totally like my workflow. They require the least sexy environments possible. I think in the making of Somnium 11 with some of the characters, I was watching Batman or internet videos and trying to keep the environment very light, because of what I'm writing does tend to feel a lot deeper, and it helps me not feel like I'm forcing the words. I think that's part of understanding the characters and sitting back and making sure that things feel like the dialogue and their interactions feel authentic. I guess I come from like a film with some film background, and just getting to be around actors and other performers, and they've also kind of mentioned that before they have any kind of intimate scenes, sometimes they'll find ways to break the ice with their co-stars so it doesn't feel too awkward when they're acting together. And I think that's kind of the same way I feel when I'm writing, is if I have a character, I will sort of break the ice by putting something that doesn't feel particularly forced or sexy or romantic or really romantic, so that I kind of let the character, their words sort of flow through and feel like they're focused in that moment, and not so much with making sure that everything just feels like this is the right moment, that every word is correct. And then when we think of real relationships, sometimes our best lines, romantic lines to each other, they're not forced. They're usually very spur of the moment, and what you let your emotions decide how things go. And I sort of feel like that's let the scene do the talking for that.
Yeah, it feels more natural that way, I guess. Like I said, when it's not forced. Okay, that's interesting. Well, when you're writing them, do you? Curious. Do you act it out in your head, almost like, how do I say? You impersonate each character whenever they're having a conversation, and that's how you know how they would react to each other. Do you
Yeah,
perhaps
I
do
would say
that?
so. Like the way I kind of describe them as actors, I think that it plays out cinematically. And then
Yeah.
I sometimes like it helps with like when you're writing that first draft in, you're just kind of letting the words come to you, and you're trying to figure out how they respond. I think the interesting thing with each, especially when we have games like visual novels where you have different endings and different choices on how to respond to like how a character will respond to your actions. There is a lot of room to not just thinking about that one way they're going to respond, but you have to also think of multiple ways. And so there are moments where I have to stop and like act out a little bit and be like, okay, so this is how they would react if they really like what you said, but if you give them an answer that they didn't like, how would they respond? So we have to be constantly thinking in the background and sort of playing it over and over again and figuring out which of those options tends to be the most authentic to their character.
Yeah, it sounds fun to do as well, honestly. It's like a little mini theater set up at home.
Yeah, definitely. It keeps me entertained with every project.
Well, after writing these scenes, what emotions do you hope the players will feel as they deepen their relationship?
I think in terms of seeing what Aria's arc and quest is, and you playing how you drive Aria throughout the story. I just generally hope that people can go through, like the feelings that she goes through as well. That quest for acceptance, finding a space. The reason why we have a big cast too, I think, adds a lot of meaning to what we hope players will get out of being able to have that much variety of company. Whether you're just choosing, you do have your romances, but you can also kind of focus on other aspects like the friendship and the camaraderie or the rivalry that you can get from that. And just a sense of belonging. When you get to be in a world that you're not familiar with, you want to find out all that's out there. And I think it's just, I would say like discovery is really what I hope and become surprised about what you learn about yourself along the way while you're navigating Aria and meeting all these characters and romancing. I mean, I would say more than one character, per each narrative.
Okay. I can see that, and I think I felt a bit of it because when I walked into the world and I met all of these characters, there was a bit like, okay, we're gonna be your family from now on for the rest of however long these trials take. It felt a lot like that, so I see what you mean when you say that.
Do either of you have a favorite character yourself?
So on the team, this worked out great that we each have a different favorite character. So whenever fan art comes in, like we get physical fan art, we are able to split them equally because we each have, we don't have overlapping favorites. So for me, I thought I would like Titus during the development. And I still do like Titus, but my favorite is Prince Soren.
Yeah, I would say Titus was my favorite to get a chance to work on. It's just a character type I was naturally drawn to just in other experiences, and I think that just generally he was fun. And I also have to shout out to my boy Roman. I love him. I feel like he's our little honorary mascot and such a goofball.
For sure, mascot. We have a Discord emoji just dedicated to Roman that we'll use in various situations. But then Kira's not here, so Kira's our programmer. So she programmed the game and was up all nights because on mobile, it's a live service game. And so Kira was working very hard and working up until 5 a.m. on launch day, because when we launched it, we were having all sorts of server issues. But Kira's favorite Somnium person is Valentina. So yeah, when fan mail comes in and we get nice fan art, we'll just split it up to our favorites.
And I also think we all collectively just love Aaron.
Yes, that is true. We all do love Aram, our edgelord here.
I was just gonna say, how can you guys not mention Aram?
No,
but I guess
are bored.
yeah, for sure. Okay, but what about the player base? Do they have a favorite? Do they tend to gravitate towards someone in specific, or is it balanced?
Yeah. So it's interesting, right? Because we designed this game so that there's something for everyone, but there is definitely, when we look at the numbers and we see from all the comments online and what people are excited about in terms of the sales numbers when we're selling add-ons and they get to purchase products of each of the characters, Titus wins the most by sales.
Would you consider him the bad boy sort of character?
Aram ought to be that person, but there is an aspect that we're curious about with this particular title, because the mobile title, there is a mobile payment monetization aspect that was built in, right? Because it's free to download. And so we listened to the feedback and we heard, there are lots of Otome players who don't like that aspect, even though that's common and prevalent on mobile games. Like you have Mystic Messenger, right? You have the Ikemen series. But if we're converting it to PC, that model doesn't work. And so we have this premium model for PC where you just pay a one-time cost for the PC version and everything is unlocked to you. So we are curious to see if that will shift, if there will end up becoming more Aram fans, and maybe Aram does better on PC because he's not paywalled as much. He's not paywalled at all, right, compared to the mobile version.
Yeah, I'm curious to find that out too, but I'm not sure how and where I'm going to be able to find that out. Do you perhaps post stuff, fun facts somewhere where I can keep up with these things?
Yeah, in the past we have done popularity contests, but we take that with a grain of salt because it's just people buy into the poll, right? And if it happened to be that the Aram fans weren't paying attention for that week, then it might not be quite accurate. But yeah, feel free to reach out to us anytime. We're happy to let you know how things look like after 1 month into the launch.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you for that. As you mentioned, unfortunately, Kira couldn't be here today, but I would still like for us to talk about gameplay and features a little bit, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
So I noticed that obviously this is an interactive Otome game. It blends strategy and romance. Can you tell us more about the stat raising mechanisms, the gifting, and unlocking DMs and CGs?
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of Otome games out there that people would be familiar with, that they could lend on those experiences. Now, we have some hardcore players, and these are the players that are super awesome and built the online guides, because we don't officially publish a full-blown online guide step by step by step. We do have one, but that is behind the Kickstarter. So if you are a Kickstarter backer, you can get access to the online guide. And to honor the backers who help fund our projects and make it really feel exclusive, right? Because we promise them exclusivity, we don't sell those guides elsewhere. And so because not everyone has access to the guides, some players who might have missed out on the Kickstarter before, or they just love breaking games down, right? And people like figuring out the stats, all the data behind it. So they build these guides out. So with the game, there's stats involved in terms of every action you take, you increase your stats of certain parameter. So it could be knowledge, for an example. It could be strength. So if you go to the gym, you're going to get things related to a gym, like strength. If you go to the library, you're going to get knowledge. You also have to balance the relationship aspect, because if you keep going to self-improve, great, you're going to do fine in the trials, but maybe you didn't spend enough time with a character with a love interest that they don't know who you are, so you're not going to get further along the route. So we try to blend this aspect to make it feel a little bit more realistic, and it's more of a simulation. That's the same way with the gift giving. I think gift giving mechanisms people are used to from other games. So we've put that in here as well. Same with the unlocking DMs. People are used to chat-based games, text message-based games. Again, shout out to Mystic Messenger, right, for really changing the Otome industry with that. And so we blend a lot of these different aspects from not outside of Otome gaming to help create this experience in Somnium.
You know, we joked a bit about buying followers, but the game quite cleverly integrates social media into the storyline. What inspired this? How does it enhance the player experience?
Yeah, so we say that Hunger Games inspired the game, but also for us, the K-pop industry inspired this game too. And so we always have really interesting conversations in our, downtime coffee chat, where like when we go to the coffee room, right? We always have interesting conversations about like what we're seeing on social media, the pressures that people have, these celebrity figures or influence figures in reality TV. So K-pop and reality TV, we were studying these aspects of it. So your actions in this game, including buying followers, I don't know if you all noticed, but maybe we'll spoil this. There's actually a negative consequence when you buy followers, similar to real life. If people find out that people, were paying for bots writing reviews, paying for bots to write comments, it eventually probably will get found out, or people will notice and spread rumors, right? So there's these aspects of real life that we are very interested in. Like Alexandra mentioned, we like to study people. We like to think about what it means from a societal standpoint. And so for most of our games, for our serious games, we try to have conversations, and we hope that people can see and connect with this in real life and be inspired by that as well.
That's actually great. And the fact that there are negative consequences as well. I managed to choose all the wrong posts. And instead of winning followers, I was losing them. I was stressing the whole time. But that was really fun. And it was a great feature. So I want to...
Thank you.
I want to shift gears a little bit and ask you... So since... I'm sure there are plenty of hardcore fans out there who want to see more, who want to read more about the game. If you could write a spin-off story that's set in Strata, which part of the world, or maybe a character, would you want to explore further?
I would say I feel like this is like our whole group from the inside feels this way, because we were just talking about earlier, like Roman is kind of our mascot. So I do feel like it would be really funny and interesting to see him have his own massive Strata saga a little bit more expanded, because we did do a DLC episode for him shortly after Somnium 11 was first released. But I do feel like there's a lot of room for him to really kind of pull you back into the world, and I think it'd be really fun to see that. And I also would say, like, probably Aria or Soren also have some interesting, compelling aspects of their story. I don't want to like spoil their roots, but I do feel like there's a lot of room to really explore beyond that, based on where you have your endings.
Awesome. And for people who are completionists like myself, do you have any advice for winning over a love interest? Maybe a hint or a strategy?
Yeah, so we actually post guides on our website on how to unlock Titus and Soren in particular. But generally, they're not, again, we try to give exclusivity to our backers, so they're not full-blown day-by-day guides where we tell you, go to these specific places and these specific times, buy these specific items, and like you will breeze on through. But the guides on our website give you a general idea of like what you might want to prioritize because of their personalities and their general likes and things like that. But outside of that, our best strategy that we generally tell players is to, one, figure out their schedule. And this game is all based off of their personal behavior. So think about a person like Titus, a person like Aria, a person like Soren. What would they might be doing in their lives? Are they going to the gym because they're like a workout bro? If they're going to the gym, then you probably should keep hitting up the gym until you figure out their schedule. And so they all have a set schedule in this game. So once you figure out their schedule, keep visiting them in that location. Keep visiting them at that location at that specific time. And over time, if you keep going to that location, you'll see the progression in that relationship. And that's generally the same. So they all have specific haunts that they like to go to. And so as long as you keep visiting several of those locations, you'll see a relationship progression. Similar to real life, right? Like if there's someone you like, keep going to that cafe to meet that cute person.
Yeah.
In that case, the connect button, what does that exactly do? Because I thought that it's kind of like a follow option with those people, but instead I think it's giving me hints as to what those characters like.
Yeah, so we are redesigning that a little bit in the PC to make it more clear. The mobile's different because the screen is only so big, so we're trying to smush as much information as possible into the mobile screen. So the demo you played, if it was from the itch page, the Kickstarter,
page, yeah.
That is our mobile version. So those screens are not the PC screens that you will see. But that screen was intended to be hints on how to connect with them. So hopefully with our redesigns, we can make that a little bit more clear. It's more streamlined for PC because you're not going to have to keep tapping through multiple screens, and we can lay out the information more clearly for PC. But it is to give you a hint of, okay, you can't connect with Titus right now. Why is that? Have you not met the right number of people? Have you not met his buddies? Again, like if you want to get with someone, meet their friends, get them to like you. Are you not popular enough? Things like that.
I see. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was like, come on, I have batch your cake connected. I will give you all the
Sharing them out with cake.
At that point, you're just like a fan and they don't know who you are and you're sending your, idol cakes day after day after day.
Oh, it kind of felt like it. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Well, while you were working on this project, would you say there were any memorable moments or something that kind of stuck with you?
I would say for sure the Roman memes, and especially from like our player fan days, like the Roman memes, getting to see Roman all the time. What is Roman doing in the bushes? Like just the general sense of that was like really, really funny. Because I feel like he depending on how many times you're interacting with him, I think that definitely does affect how you feel about him. And we've talked about how he's kind of our mascot, so it was funny watching other people react to some of the things that, while in development, we were laughing about him. Also, I just think the collective responses to Titus were pretty memorable. I remember there was someone who left us a comment saying that he was better to her than a real man, and I did not know how to respond to that. I mean, I was flattered, like we were all flattered, but it was also pretty funny, and pretty memorable to me because I was like, uh,
Yeah, to the Roma thing, I want to add on. It's funny because it's really exciting when we see a game design work based off the comments that people have. And so when people are commenting about Roman, like we jokingly referred, well, I at least jokingly referred to Roman as the Rattata of this game. So for people, I'm going to date myself here. So for people who play like first gen Pokemon, you kept coming across Rattata in the beginning, right? And it was really annoying. So people either loved Roman or they're like, oh my God, he keeps popping up. I'm like, great. That was our intention, is that you will keep seeing him. And so getting that feedback was really exciting.
yeah, and it is just fun watching how people add that to their overall like story, to like how they experience the game and how they're contextualizing everything, because they're like, oh, Roman does this, Roman does that, meanwhile Roman's doing this. Because similar for the other daily scripts with what Aria's doing when she's not meeting other characters, where's she doing, at the temple, and what is she doing here? So it's pretty fun watching people do like a choose your adventure iteration of that.
Honestly, finding out that Roman wasn't Roman Sabo was the biggest heartbreak for me, because at that point I've already spent so much time with him and devoted so much time.
Oh no.
I feel like that's an interesting thing about Otome games, right? Is like most other games don't have a big cast as well because they're not meant to be romanceable. But then you want to have a big cast to flesh out the story. So that was definitely a learning that we had for this title, was that there were so many people who loved the side characters just as much as we do, and that they wanted more content. And there definitely, when we first scoped this game, we had intentions that if it did well, because it was a live service game on mobile, that we could keep releasing content, which is why, as Alexandra mentioned, we did release like a Roman DLC, but we didn't see the sales numbers meet the goals that we needed, or not even the goals, the numbers needed to be able to keep funding further development. So because of that, we weren't able to give everyone a love interest side story here. But yeah, you're not the only one. There's some really interesting Discord names that we actually see on our server. For example, people will name themselves, like they'll edit their Discord name to match Roman. We have another one where someone called themselves Minty's handholder, and so we're like, okay, it's clear that these side characters have fans.
Okay, sorry, that was awkward silence. I was trying to say that I agree with Mochi, but I was muted. Let's quote that. I agree with Mochi about Rowan. So yeah, I'm also a bit sad about that. But there's a mystery to it, not being able to romance him. Kind of like, oh, what would it be if I was able to? What would the dates look like? What would this look like? So there's a sort of mystery behind that. Could you say if there is any exclusive content from Somnium 11 that you'd like to share with our listeners or viewers?
Yeah, so we haven't talked about this publicly. So as Alexandra mentioned again about the mobile DLC with Roman, we actually also had a mobile DLC with Ariel, another side character. So we didn't mention this in the Kickstarter campaign page, but we'll actually be releasing both Roman and Ariel's DLCs as DLCs on Steam. We've never done this before. All of our prior Steam games, we have like 4 other games on Steam right now. All of them are complete titles. So this will be a new thing for us, and we're interested in seeing how it goes because, again, we've never done DLCs before, so we need to figure out the back end and also how that works on Steam. So there is also a learning curve for us, but we're hoping that for people who haven't played the mobile game, who've never read their side stories, that they can enjoy that little DLC with Roman and Ariel on Steam.
I really hope that's successful. I hope more people see it and enjoy it just as we have enjoyed the base game. So we're kind of approaching the end of our conversation, unfortunately. Before we wrap it up, is there anything else you'd like to share, or if you have any questions for us?
Yeah, so if y'all like Roman, we actually had another game come out last fall called Stellafire, and Hawkins is one of the romanceable idols, also a redhead, and he is they might be cousins. And so
Cousins
if
and
you
another isekai.
exactly. So if you enjoy Roman's vibes, we highly recommend you to check out Stellafire and specifically go for Hawkins. You might have a good time then and can see what might have been with Roman. And then the other second super popular side character that we've seen numbers come through and like comments consistently about is Minty. So our cool genius tech military girl who likes to play video games. Keep an eye on our social media and content. We'll actually haven't announced this, but we'll make the announcement here. We have an upcoming Discord chat game about VTuber communities. So we'll be dropping snippets of it, little spoilers here and there in the next few months. So if you like Minty, keep your eye on that upcoming Discord chat game.
Okay, well, Natalie, Alex, thank you so much for joining us today. It was so nice talking to you, and it was very nice finding out things about the game that I was curious about and that other people I'm sure were curious about.
Thank you so much for having us. It was fun to share a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure. I always love to talk about songs.
And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in today's episode. Make sure to go check out Nochi Studios and Somnium 11. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. It helps us bring you more amazing guests like Natalie and Alex. Until next time, everyone, take care.